Let's have a quick look at Warkworth Castle because it's a masterpiece of medieval architecture. Here we are looking at the Coquet River as it almost reaches its mouth and enters into the North Sea, and here, via the power of indecisive cam, we can get a little bit of context. There's the town of Warkworth, and there is the castle looming over it. And a terrible edit there, but never mind. We went for a drive the other day and went past it and thought, yeah, we're going to have to go and stop off and pay it a visit again. It is my favourite castle in the whole world. Not that I've been to them all, but you know. Crac de Chevalier is supposed to be the greatest. It's certainly, like, great. I would say the best, technically, is Caerphilly Castle in Wales, but this is my favourite. And hello, the bikers have arrived. Anyway, so we drove past that day, not stopping, and here's a view out the window. It's on a natural spur created by a sort of tortuous bend in the Coquet River, and the daffodil covered mound. That's a kind of man-made enhancement to that natural spur, and there on top is the phenomenal, splendid great tower, the keep, which was added probably at the end of the 1300s. I should think it took a few years to do, let's face it. Anyway, we turned up, and this is it. One of the important things about this, forget all the defensive stuff, is style. Look at those marvellous kind of buttresses at the front of the gatehouse, and a view across what would be a dry moat, because this sits high up. There's a kind of gorge down that side, down to the river, and here we go through the gateway. It's a deep and impressive gateway, going on the correct side so that we don't catch nasty diseases apparently. And there you can see looming up before us that fabulous keep. Let's remember that the medieval period is supposed to be thuggish and devoid of style and very basic and sort of moronic. That always, you know, excludes the fact that they were building phenomenal cathedrals and stuff like this. And there it is. This was the favourite residence of the Percy family. So phenomenally powerful by the 1400s they could almost single-handedly unseat kings of England. They were part of a massive plot to get rid of Richard II. And when Henry VII in the end of the 1400s was planning to go north, people said, if you're with a Percy and people are taking their hats off, they're not taking their hats off to you, they're taking their hats off to the Percys. So he abandoned the idea. Anyway, here's a great bit of carving, just surviving. Bits of the crest on their helm, heraldic work there, and the Percy lion looming out gigantically over a gateway to the Great Hall and private quarters. And a nice big arrow slit there. Probably the first buildings here actually built by the son of the King of Scotland, Henry first Earl of Northumberland, first Earl of that family anyway. But most of the actual stonework here that survives is from a bit later, from a chap called bizarrely Roger Fitzroger. There you go. From about 1199 to 1214-ish. Nice view of crows, by the way. And he did a lot of the bailey, the tower being added later. And look at those guys enjoying a blustery day. Yeah, me and crows, there's something going on there these days, isn't there? Never mind. The place was besieged by the Scots in 1327, the year that Edward II died. Edward II, who lost the Battle of Bannockburn just over a decade earlier, and really didn't do too well against the Scots. The place changes hands an awful lot, but once you get into the from 1341, in fact, the Percys have got hold of it and they really upgrade it constantly, and they are really significant power in the north. And just again, just take a look. These are just stumps of bits of fine masonry. There's that lion tower, and again another quick look at that layout of the damaged heraldic stuff. And here's the view from the doorway of that mighty keep, looking out across the bailey. This would have been full of buildings on either side. You can see the foundations of the Great Hall, and looking into things like the kitchens and beyond into the private quarters. So that's the layout there, and then just a few more bits of views of that fantastic keep. All the windows pretty much are original. You know, you imagine castles don't have windows very often, but this is a palatial thing. And the north is supposed to be so barbaric as well, and here we are virtually on the Scottish border, and we are living in the lap of luxury. This was a phenomenal place. The Lion Tower that we were looking at is from about probably took a few years, but probably mid to late 1400s. People hazard a guess at the dates, but never mind. And the keep here is said to show influences from Kenilworth Castle in the Midlands, and that was owned by John of Gaunt, and a man who was pretty much running England at times while the young Richard II was failing as a king. And this family were great supporters of his. And it's thought that the master mason for this one is possibly a man called John Lewin, who had worked at Durham Cathedral. So there's just little ideas of where this stuff's coming from and who the people are who are involved. And finally, it features in Shakespeare plays Henry IV, Part 1 and 2, and in both, it's in Act 2, Scene 3. There you go. How about that? There's Warkworth. Fantastic stuff. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.